Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I am going to do a storytime video on the trials and tribulations on trying to live independently, and it all falling apart with a simple text message. So, it is a very big discussion in disability and FASD in general to talk about wanting to be independent from your family and if that is achievable in certain circumstances. Me and my sister are on that line of we believe we are ready, but it's the financial struggles that are hindering us from actually achieving anything. How this discussion even started is we are going to go back till all the way till like September. My mom loves looking at realtor sites and looking at homes that are on the market, and she was scrolling through just looking for us or just looking in general for fun, and she found a really nice apartment that was really close to home and was in a great location for buses and food. And we looked at it through pictures online and we thought, hey, that might be a good idea. It was technically a 1+1, but we were kind of hoping it would be good for the two of us, me and Jess. So we were able to get a realtor to bring us to the apartment, and we got to look at the apartment. I have no videos. I'm sorry. I'm very bad at videotaping in public. And it was just a little bit too small. The kitchen was outdated. Not a big deal. You can always renovate. But the first bedroom was really tiny, and it had this weird solarium attached, and you couldn't really knock down a wall to make the room bigger. It just wasn't great. And the main bedroom plus ensuite was a good size for someone, but it just wasn't good for the two of us. Like, one person was always going to get more of the shitty end of the stick and have a smaller room and a smaller bathroom, and the other person was going to get a bigger room plus an ensuite plus a closet, a bigger closet, and so on. And we try to keep things relatively even in some circumstances, and the second bedroom was just too small, unfortunately. But we had been looking at another apartment in the same complex building, and we were kind of like, oh, it's way over budget and it just doesn't work. But the real estate agent was like, I have a key. You want to go look? Of course. We were like, yes, let's go see. And this second apartment, it was on the 8th floor. It was stunning. Let me see. I'll see if I can throw up some pictures. If they might not even be on the market. So I'm not even going to throw up pictures because I don't believe that they're there anymore. But this apartment was beautiful. It was updated. It was not too big and not too small. Both bedrooms were both good sizes. The finishes were nice. Oh, it was so perfect. And of course, there was an ensuite bathroom and a walk-in closet. And even if the other person didn't get a walk-in closet and ensuite, the bathroom was still really big, and the bedroom itself was still really big. It was perfect. And we did all the financial stuff to see if we could afford such thing. And the mortgage was just sadly too much. Because me and my sister only work part-time. It was wishful thinking, but it wasn't going to happen. So unfortunately, we had to drop that. But it was a beginning of a interesting road of conversation. Then we started looking at renting, because that's the more cheaper option, obviously, but it still was too expensive for me and my sister to rent a place. And I'm very much in that I want like a condo/apartment living style. I don't want a backyard. I don't really want to have to do shoveling, and so I'm set on my first place being a condo or an apartment. I don't really want to live in a basement apartment, but it's looking like that's the only option, unfortunately, if I want to live independently. Fast forward to 2 months later, my best friend, was like, "Hey, you're talking about moving out. I have to move out of my rental that I have. Why don't we do something together?" And I was so excited. It was going to be me and my sister and our best friend and his brother, the four of us. And because it was the four of us, that meant there was more income. So we started looking at proper like homes. And I was so excited that this could be something that could be attainable. I realized that I was yet again being too picky. What I really wanted was 4-bed and 4-bath. Because my thought process was there are 2 girls and 2 boys living together. I don't think the 2 girls should share with the guy and the guy share with the girl. So I thought like if we had at least 4-bed, 4-bath, that meant we had a powder room and 3 other full bathrooms, which means me and my sister could share a bathroom, and then the 2 other boys don't have to share. Plus, my best friend had a girlfriend, and it would be nice if they had a bathroom when she came over to sleep over, and she didn't have to worry about privacy or anything. So, we found a place. We thought we found a place, and it was 4-bed, 4-bath, and we were so excited. It was actually in the neighborhood of the first condo we went to. We knew it had great shopping. We knew it had good transportation. We could walk to the grocery store since me and my sister don't drive. We don't drive, so we needed transportation. It was a perfect place, so we thought. I remember walking up to this house, and I noticed that there was a lot of scuff marks on the door, but I was going to have an open mind about it. And I was like, don't look at the finishings, it's fine. And I remember looking up and realizing that there was no doorbell. It was just wire sticking out of where the doorbell was supposed to be. And that should have been my clue to just turn around and not even step into this house. But I kept telling myself to have an open mind. Just an open mind. I walked into this house, and immediately I felt so dirty. It was not good, and the landlord does not take care of this property whatsoever. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. We would go into the kitchen, and the kitchen was okay, but I noticed that there was like this metal thing that was sticking up under the cabinetry, and it was basically like tilting really badly. And we were like, "Oh, what's that?" And he's like, "Oh, that's to put your microwave on." But this thing was hanging on by like this much of a screw was out of the wall. And we're like, "Oh, okay then." And then we went downstairs, and I noticed that they tried to put hardwood on the stairs to make it nice, but they would take the offcuts and like place them on the side of the stairs to like make it fit, but it wasn't like a whole piece of wood. And I was like, That's a cutting hazard on your feet, but okay, open mind, open mind. We went downstairs. It was classified as a finished basement with a massive hole in the ceiling with wires coming through it. And I was like, oh. And my friend was like, oh, that's just the HVAC, for air. And I was like, sure. Open mind, open mind. And then we went upstairs. Now remember, this listing was 4-bedroom, 4-bath. We went up the stairs and it would split, so you go right or you go left. And we went left, and it was a massive room that only had a curtain and no closet. So that kind of sucked for the person that had the quote-unquote 4th bedroom. And yet again, all the hardwood was like peeling up. And so then we went left. And I also noticed when you were going up, because it was, you go up the stairs, then you have to go upstairs again to go to the left, and then you go back down the stairs, and then you go upstairs again to the right side of the house. And I noticed that also the hardwood was like sticking out from the edge of the stairs, so like your foot could get caught. It was all so bad. It was all so bad. Shoddy work, really shoddy. And we went into the master bedroom, and it was not a proper door. They decided to grab a closet door from one of the bedrooms and just like lazily hang it as a door to the master bedroom. So there was like this much space from the floor to the door, and it like opened like an accordion style. Really weird. We walked into the bathroom and the tub was black. And the quote-unquote modern finishes, like they'd have a backsplash, but it wouldn't go all the way up the wall. There'd be like a gap, and like it would come off the would come off the wall, and it wasn't connected nicely to the sink, so you would have this much of it was just bad. And we looked in one of the closets, like the hallway closet, and we figured out what color the carpet once was because they kept the carpet in the closet. It was like this pink color. We're like, oh, there's the carpet. Long story short, we all looked at each other and we ran out of that house. So that was a no-no for us, sadly. We were all very disappointed, but no. One of our like things is we want all to be close to work because me and my sister don't work. My friend drives, but apparently his brother also doesn't drive, so he also needed easy transportation to work. So we wanted to be all on the same street that the bus was to get us all to work. And we found a second house like 2 weeks ago. And it was awkward because the showing that was happening, the people living at the house at the time didn't know the showing was going on. So here we come at like 10 o'clock in the morning. We go into this house that we also thought would be awesome. It was stated as a 4-bed, 4-bath. And we get into this house, and people were living in it, so it was clearly lived in. Let me just say, it was very lived in. Having to walk over socks in the middle of the floor. So the kitchen was nice. The living room was nice. All nice finishings and a pretty wide kitchen. But then once we went to the basement, it yet again fell apart. So we thought that this was going to be a 4-bed, 4-bath. 1 powder room, which is a small usually a bathroom on the main floor. That's just a toilet and a sink. And then the rest are full bath with either a shower or a tub with a sink and a toilet. Nope. We get down to the basement, and there's a big opening, and there's a bed in the middle of the basement. And then they're like, look, there's a bathroom. And we turn the corner, and there is a bathroom right next to the water utility, all the utility stuff. They put like a screen, like a portable screen to hide it. And like the sink looked like it was about to fall off the wall. And there was no shower. And we were like, oh, thank you. And then we checked the bathrooms. So it was technically 2 full bath and 2 powder rooms, which wasn't gonna work. Plus, the person who was living all the way down in the sleeping in the basement had to go all the way upstairs to use the full bath. It wasn't ideal. So then we got out of that house. It was freezing cold Canadian day. We were all like shivering. And we discussed it for a little bit. We were like, well, it's a good location. It's like right near the bus and the food shop. And yeah, the basement's not awesome, but we could do it, you know? So we decided to put that house on hold and continue looking. I, that day, finally decided that I needed to put my 4-bed, 4-bath behind me because it wasn't realistic. So I decided to look at 4-bed, 3-bath homes, which ironically opened a lot of doors for us for properties. And that same night, I found what I thought was the perfect location. It was perfect. So I went to go see it the next day. No one else could join me because everyone else was at work and I just wasn't working that day. And I get into this house and it feels like a house, not just a place to live. Some of the finishings, like the kitchen, were a little bit older and could use some updating, but it didn't feel dirty. It didn't feel gross. It didn't feel like I had to take a shower when I left. It felt homey. And it had 3-bed, 4-bath. No, 4-bed, 3-bath. And as we went upstairs, it had all 4 rooms were pretty much the same size. There was a main bedroom with an ensuite bathroom. The bathroom was tiny. The shower was tiny, but we were kind of hoping maybe one of us, me or Jess, would take the bath or shower, because it was really small and they were taller men. So that might be what happened. And so I was so excited that I felt like I found our house to live in for at least a year. We were ready to sign the papers, and I give my friends all the information. And I wake up the next day and he's like, I have some news to share. And that news kind of changed everything. I'm not going to share it on here because privacy. But the news kind of made Jesse and I feel like this wasn't an option anymore. So all the searching and all the house hunting and all the exploring and all the excitement of thinking that I was going to be living with my best friend for at least a year was now shattered in one single text. So, I am 30 years old with FASD, still living with my parents, and not knowing when independence will come. We talked about it as a family, and we think that the independence will come whether we rent someplace or we buy someplace in the future. But it will come, it's just not right now. So I'm very disappointed and I'm very sad right now because I was really, really excited. But if anyone else is struggling with living independently as someone who's disabled, whether because of financial situation or health issues. I just want to say, don't feel bad, because I am in the same boat with you. Don't be ashamed. Don't feel bad. Sometimes it's hard to live independently, and sometimes the economy doesn't allow you to be as independent as you want. So here's my story about the beginnings of independence. It's not the end, but it is the beginning of a much bigger conversation, and hopefully a very exciting future. With my silly story of trying to move out of my parents' house and failing the first time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. In my parents' home. In this bedroom. In the same neighborhood. With the same backdrops. Nothing will change. See you next time, guys. Bye.